We're live? Are we live?
Yeah, we're live, dear.
I don't have a pulse.
You're a
I
mess.
think I'm a zombie.
You're not a zombie. You're not a zombie.
There it is. I found
All right, y'all. Welcome to the Cynics cast. Host at Kalari Gamer Chick or GXC.
the Axiom Wolf.
Yeah, we are going to be talking classic TV today. Now, when we did the Silverhawks 3 weeks ago, we were excited because we were going to integrate showing the YouTube videos with our talks about classic TV. But we have a stalker who likes to try to flag us for DMCA.
Not me. I mean, I stalk her, but I don't stalk me because that would be weird.
So we're just going to talk about our classic favorite TV shows and other stuff. We're also going to start trying to integrate gaming into our Gen X Cynics cast as well, so that we can have a little bit more fun while we do these. But until we figure out this DMCA thing, where our channels won't be flagged by somebody who we know you hate watching us. Thanks for the views, I guess.
Thank you for the hate. It
Yeah.
keeps me warm at night.
Yep. We're like Sith. You're just empowering us with your nonsense. But until we figure out who's doing it and why, we're just going to use this to talk about our favorite classic TV. And so many people participated. And I want to thank everybody who hit me up on Twitter. I'm sorry that last week we didn't get to it, but I really wasn't feeling good. And if I've learned anything these last few weeks, is putting your physical and mental health first is so important. So if Greg's not feeling it or I'm not feeling it, we've worked out that it's okay to take a break,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, mental health breaks are necessary.
Yeah, and like you wouldn't have enjoyed it last week. I was hurting physically and I just wasn't feeling it, even though it's a great topic. You know, I know a lot of us, Gen X or even older, we have years of TV under our belt. So I asked the question, what 10 shows could you watch forever between the realm of 1970 to 1990, I think it was? I think that was the question. Let me double check it. I
It
love
was
the
a
power.
it was a frame of time
Yeah, I wanted it to be 30-year span.
between this point and that point.
Yeah, and it's not to say that newer TV isn't fun. We've been enjoying the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
But I just felt like for a lot of us, most of our defining TV moments were within that 30-year span, because there's a lot of stuff that they can't put on TV anymore.
Yeah.
That we will never, even if they tried to remake it, it won't have that magic because they can't do it, you know?
Yeah.
I tweet a lot, so it might be a bit before I find it.
You don't tweet a lot.
I totally tweet a lot.
That's not anywhere near a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're being
maybe in abundance.
You're being sarcastic.
Maybe more than a little, but less than too much.
Yeah. It might be quicker to say classic TV.
The Bears.
All right. There's there we go. The original thing. And then we got a lot of really amazing answers for
we
this.
got Roseanne, Dinosaurs, Golden Girls, ER, Saturday Night Live, The Simpsons, X Files, Quantum. And the cool part is like everybody
had different.
Now I'm seeing a few repeats, but everybody had different answers.
Yeah.
Quantum Leap was a good one. That I like.
Yeah, Quantum Leap was definitely one of my favorites. The ending I did not enjoy as much.
No, I watched a thing on that, and it was like they had them do like a cliffhanger episode just in case. But we're definitely going to bring you back, and
they never did. And there was a lot of shows like that, and there were a lot of shows that I appreciate the ending now more than I did when it happened, like Saint Elsewhere. A lot of people were upset with Saint Elsewhere, and I remember because I was young when it happened, that I really didn't understand how they made an entire series just in the mind of an autistic kid.
Right.
And until I became a parent of an autistic child, it was like, part of me was like, there's no way. But when you literally have a child that they keep everything to themselves, it's all up in there, and then they come out with like the most elaborate stories. kiddos in art classes for most of his schooling. And he did this like watercolor alien type painting, and they wanted to feature it for the school, and his art teacher called him up on my cell phone and asked him the backstory. And the kid had this detailed backstory of an intergalactic interstellar war, and these parents were in mourning. And all my brain kept going was, where the heck did that come from? Anytime I ask him to come up with a story, which is funny because we're writers, nothing. But he had this whole story in his head. So it made me think about St. Elsewhere's finale. And I was like, it really could be. That really could be something that's going on in people's minds. You know, I say it all the time. My imagination saved me from a lot of stuff I was going through when I was little. You never know what's going on in people's head. And to say that a kid can't think of something as complex as different characters going through different things, we need to stop thinking like that. Nobody understands how the mind works. We still have people studying this.
Right.
So I know that now I appreciate that season finale more than I did when I was younger. One of the season finales that I didn't quite agree with, but I also liked was Hill Street Blues, which is on my top 10 shows. And I'm not a big fan of cop dramas. I think it's the only cop show that I watched because they humanize those officers and you got to see a lot of their personal life interspersed with the job. And having so many people that you watched, like I think it was once a week it came on, being gunned down, or having somebody that you thought, oh, they have plot armor, there's no way they're gonna kill them, be killed off. That was way before Game of Thrones was the thing, you
Or
know.
Walking Dead.
Yeah, exactly. I used to think, I was like, why am I getting so upset with Walking Dead when I literally grew up on Hill Street Blues? I think the only other cop show that I watched, and not Cop Rock, I don't think that made anybody's list. I'm going to scroll and make sure, but was Barney Miller. And that made my top 10 best TV themes. I think for a lot of us, the 30 years, if you're old enough to have 30-year TV span, and growing up Gen X when we had so many revolutionary things happen with TV. We were there when CNN launched. One of the news stories I remember on CNN was Jessica McClure, the little girl that fell down the well, and they had to rescue her.
Right.
That was like everybody in my house was gripped by that story. Were they going to find that baby alive? And when they pulled her out alive, we cheered like she was our family. Stuff like that, it was history. And you don't realize it as you're watching it because you're not thinking, I'm living actual history. When MTV first launched, I literally remember that because we were one of the few kids that was lucky. And this was all my grandparents doing to get a cable box in our market homes, because the market homes was just a little bit fancier than a project. It was like little town rolled townhouses that were low income, and my mom was determined for us to do it on our own. So we lived there, but with grandma's help, we got cable. And because we had cable, I got to see MTV's launch. And I remember watching it with some of a distant interest because it was mostly rock music for the longest time. And then we got the launch of Yo MTV Raps and all of that stuff. And I was there for when they became the less than music, more reality TV.
Yeah.
But they gave me one of my favorite shows of all time, which was Daria. I still, Daria in my background, I bought the box set, even though it's not the same because they had to cut the music from it. And that's the one thing that I hate about nowadays, even with streaming. We're gamers. Half the time I have headphones in my ears because I like listening to music. But we're not allowed to stream and play the music that we've paid for while we're gaming because we could get sued.
Yeah.
I really don't like the way things have become when it comes to that.
No, and it's not only that. It's like instead of like we're not claiming the music is
No.
ours. We're just having music that we like to listen to while we play. The
And
band should think of it as free advertisement for them. I mean,
exactly. I legitimately feel this way about it. We come from the generation that used to literally listen to radio stations with cassette tapes just to get a cassette tape of our favorite songs. And then we would go out once we had the money to, once we got jobs to not only buy concert tickets, but buy your CDs. We are the generation that will buy your stuff, but we want to play your stuff as well. And we have these idiot corporate assholes saying, no, we can't make $1 million off of these people. We don't want them playing your music. They're fucking yous over.
Yeah.
Like, there is absolutely no reason why NTV, who helped launch so many careers, couldn't negotiate something where we could have Daria uncut. And the only way to get it now is to watch, like, whatever little MTV, I don't know if Fuse is owned by MTV or what, but I know they currently show the unedited Daria and hopefully tape it that way, but you shouldn't have to do that. When I shelled out the money, I think it was like $60 or more for that box set, I was hoping I would get the show that I watched back in the day. And instead, you got like this weird elevator music during poignant roles.
Yeah.
I knew that moment where Daria's at the window watching Trent drive away, and it's dawning on her that this is just a childhood crush. It's never going to be more than that. And Everlong plays. That was such a powerful moment, and they had to take that out.
Yeah.
And when you remember that moment, because all of us had that moment growing up, that one person that you had an absolute crush on, whether it was going to work out or not, and especially if they were older than you. My older crush was this guy named Wayne. I don't know why. Plenty of guys that were way better, but he was the one I had the biggest crush on, but I knew it wasn't going to work out. He was older than me. He didn't even see me as a little sister. I was invisible to him. It was definitely one sided. So when you finally get mature enough to realize that and move on, it is just so key and vital. And I know a lot of people who hear me say that who still want Daria and Trent together. I'm not messing with you shippers. I get it. I still have a little bit of hope that they somehow found a way to be together. But she realized at that moment that, she had to grow up past him. And I think we all hit that point in our lives, especially when we have crushes. You either get over it or you become obsessive. And it was a nice nod to the fact that she was maturing and moving on. And a lot of shows don't have that punch anymore. And I'm not trying to knock people's favorites. I got friends who love their Real Housewives, they're Married to Medicine, all those reality shows. And if that's for you, great. My reality TV is Globe Trekker. I love watching people travel to other countries. I live vicariously through them because as an introvert, I don't like going places with a lot of people. So I watch a lot of those travel shows and I imagine what it would be like if I wanted to be around a bunch of people.
Right.
So I don't knock those who find comfort in whatever entertainment. The only entertainment I can't personally watch is daytime talk. After years of living with my mom, I hope to never hear Jerry, 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 or You Are Not the Father again. I just do not understand the appeal of shows like that.
No, it's the lowest common denominator.
It
It's like
really is.
let's show you the bottom of the barrel and see if you guys are interested. And yeah, you're gonna. It's like the same reason why when you see a car accident, you look and it's like, how bad is this? And it's like, well, now that's all you got.
When I was younger, it was another thing that had started to be revolutionized. We had Jenny Jones and Ricky Lake and Geraldo Rivera, who's still trying to act like he didn't start out with trash stuff, and Morton Downey Jr. Now, that was the one I watched because it came on late at night. I was a little insomniac with parents who didn't care if I got enough sleep or not. And I would be up watching this loudmouth, smoking white dude just yelling at people. He would have them as guests on his show and just spend like an hour yelling at them.
Wow.
But it was entertaining.
Yeah.
And I mean, neo Nazis, rabbis, supposed gangbangers, anybody he could that would say the most controversial stuff while he smoked a cigar and yelled at them. It was insane to me, but it was TV.
Yeah.
We also had cable access. And if y'all don't know what cable access is, it was little pockets of cable television that you could pay for to have your own show.
Oh.
And Anybody who had the money could get a camera and have their own cable access show, and it was just freaking magical. Sometimes you had people that would just play music videos, but sometimes you had people that had absolutely no talent, but you couldn't tell them that, and they would get on and just do the most obscene, stupidly things to get attention. That was our YouTube.
Hmm.
The stuff you see on YouTube is just cable access's baby,
Right.
basically. You know, and I have more of a list of things because I realized after looking at people's responses how much British TV I watched as a kid, and Benny Hill makes the top of my list.
Right.
That show could never be remade again.
No, no, you
It
can't
couldn't.
redo all those, especially the British comedy ones. You
Yeah.
can't redo those now.
Benny Hill was a classic because it was nonsensical. There was no set script. He just did random stuff. And a lot of shows have tried to copy him, but they'll never capture that magic. And then there was a lot of stuff that you can't get away with nowadays. And I'm not saying that as I want to bring them back because there's a lot of people like, we should have more Benny Hill shows. No, because it
No,
wasn't really respectful to women.
no, and at the time it was like, okay, at the time that was the humor that was acceptable. So okay,
Yeah.
but let's not try to bring that back up because if you think about it, that time really wasn't that great.
Exactly. You know, there are reasons why, like, I watch the comedy roast. I love the old fashioned comedy roast.
Yeah.
Not the new ones of Comedy Central, not to knock them. You guys have your audience. It just ain't me. I like the ones where, oh, what's his name? I'm seeing his face. Famous singer.
Oh, D Martin.
Dean Martin comedy roast. I know those old jokes would not fly nowadays. Some of them were over the top bad with the homophobia, the racism, some of the transphobia. So I don't watch them in the same vein that I did as a kid, but I appreciate the fact that this was what the humor was back then. And some of the things I laughed at. I loved Forrest, I think his name was Forrest Burgess. Maybe the guy that was constantly drunk or acting like he was drunk. Yeah. You gonna go there, right? Yeah. Anyway, he was shut up. He was a comedian that his whole stick was he was supposedly inebriated. And the funny part is I think he was the only one not drinking at that thing. And then you have Ruth Buzzy, who her whole act was just hitting people. And it was just funny. But I know that those days are in the past. And every time we've tried to have roast that tried to recreate it, these are not the times for that.
No.
If your whole punchline is punching down on people, you're going to lose your job. Seriously, I have seen careers ended by what people thought were a harmless joke. We're watching an idiot who decided rape jokes was going to be his hill to die on. I really hope there's a comeuppance for it because it's not. Rape should never be your punchline, dude. But it really is. And I wanted to put Saturday Night Live as on my top 10, but I like classic Saturday Night Live. My favorite was the not for primetime players, the original cast, Gilda Radner, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi. Those were my SNL. And I know everybody, every generation might have an SNL cast that they really gravitate to, but it don't beat the originals for me. After Eddie Murphy left, I really ain't care about Saturday Night Live. I catch it here or there. I watch more skits of Saturday Night Live on YouTube than I've ever been like, oh, we should watch Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, it's just they're not. I've seen them do jokes with the recent people that are quote unquote comedians, and they're not funny.
They're just
It's
not.
like they have a laugh track that they press the button on, and it's like okay, I didn't find that joke funny.
Yeah. And for the few people that I feel might still carry that show, I just wait for them to do a movie. I love Kristen Wiig. I think she's funny in most of the stuff she did. The other homegirl, I don't know her name, but I can see her face. She does a freaking hilarious Bernie Sanders. But I would rather watch her in a movie now, and I'm hoping that she decides that I'm done carrying this show because she's literally carrying that show. I know you know who I'm talking about, homegirl. And it's just frustrating that they have been around this long and they're still doing the same formula. You're not being innovative anymore. And eventually, another network is going to come up with something better. For a while, Fox was your direct rivals because they had In Living Color. And even in Living Color, for me, there are certain sketches I can still watch and laugh and feel classic. And there are sketches that I'm like, ooh, no, child. Mm-mm, that ain't it. Like, I know they wanted to punch at everybody because that was the humor that was acceptable. But if you can still laugh at sketches like Handyman, I don't think we can be friends. Honestly, that was a bit brutal to watch again. I get why they made sketches like that back then, but I just don't feel the same way about them as a kid. When In Living Color came out, I know I was a young teenager.
Oh yeah.
You were a kid.
I
So
still remember watching some of the skits. I remember Fire Marshal Bill.
yeah.
You know,
I
that was
loved
just fun.
Fire Marshal. My mom hated him, and I think that made it funnier. She just could not. Anytime Jim Carrey was on as that character, she would just get this look on her face, just so angry at him, and it made it even more hysterical to me.
Right.
So I think that's why I really like Fire Marshal Bill.
I saw a thing that he's actually on Liar Liar. Like he photobombed his own movie when
Wow.
he's on the gurney from being launched off the stairs into the luggage.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of medics and firemen and stuff around him, and Fire Marshal Bill is in that.
That is awesome. But then his Vera one, which used to make me laugh, makes me cringe now. So there is just a lot. And then it's weird because I still like Jamie Foxx's Wanda, even though I'm hopeful that he didn't do it to mock trans women. I don't think he did. I just think Jamie Foxx is playing Wanda as everybody's had a Wanda in their life. I literally had a family friend named Wanda. That big lip, big butt, maybe needs to exfoliate a little bit type friend that's very loud, very out there, and will tell a dude she'll rock their world. I don't know. I grew up with somebody like that, so I didn't think about it in that vein. But if you look at TikTok, there are plenty of young people dressing up as women as comedy. I'm of the mindset that if they are not doing it to disrespect women, if they're just doing it to show how funny and diverse we can be, I'm fine with it. One of my favorite young men, two of them actually, are portraying teachers. There's one that's a Southern teacher, and the TikTok video cracks me up because he was just rattling off about being drunk that night and doing crack and how the the principal is his husband and she don't know how they even got their job. Hilarious. And then the other is a young man who just pretends to be the principal that's out there talking to the kids with jangling keys. I love it. And I'm of the mindset, especially as a woman, as long as they are not saying women are horrible and trying to punch down on us, I'm okay with a dude dressing up in feminine clothes to portray a woman respectfully. I don't have that limit to humor when it comes to a person expressing themselves like that. But be that as it may, I feel like by saying that, some people are like, well, then you should be okay with me saying women are this or that. I'm not an Andrew Dice Clay supporter. He's the kind of guy that thinks women are a certain way. I'm not okay with transphobic comments. It's why certain specials by Dave Chappelle I don't watch anymore. You know, and I still respect his craft. I watched the thing he did after George Floyd, which I felt was needed. It helped me because I'm still not over what happened to George Floyd. I broke down after what happened to George Floyd. So it was good getting that little bit of a laugh out as well as getting that cry out. So he knows. And I feel like he's evolving somewhat slowly to understand that the world has changed and that people are tired of being your punchline. But it's been painful for a lot of older comedians, especially. For the ones that get it, they're like, yeah, I understand that back in the day, anything went. I don't have to be that person. But there are some of y'all that are just fighting it. And you're just fighting your own career at this point. If you're that set on being the asshole as your stick, hopefully you have enough fans to sustain that. Don't look my way because I'm not going to fund you. It's just that simple. I understand that some of the things that I loved from classic TV are whole ass problematic. I accept that. I can still find enjoyment in stuff like I Dream of Jeannie, but still see some of the problems in the way Jeannie was treated sometimes. I understood that back in that day, that attitude was acceptable, though. I understand that I wouldn't want my daughter to go through that. What I couldn't understand was Major Nelson's problem. Yeah. You have this super hot, magical woman that could give you anything you want, and you're like, man, I'm gonna treat her any old way. Yeah. That shit was written by a total idiot. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I will never understand the man who thinks that's the fantasy. To have a beautiful, degen woman who is completely in love and devoted to you, but you're just gonna treat her like whatever until she wears you down. What? Yeah. That was weird. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I would have been entranced by Genie, and I don't even swing that way, so I can't imagine.
And I understand stretching it out for the sake of the show. Hey, we got to stretch this out a little bit because I think if you go with the natural guy reaction to that, that show would have been over after the first episode.
Exactly.
But it got to the point of if you don't have a story for them being together as a couple, you do the story them separately, and then you do the story with them as a couple afterward.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a ton of story there that you could have done, the problems they could have faced. Just, I mean, making stuff up. Maybe that's a faux pas in Jeannie's culture, and then they got to deal with her family or the people that represent her. I don't think they ever got into that, did they?
I maybe once, and I don't remember. I know there was a episode where it felt like they went back in time, right, and they dealt with like a quarter de gens, right, but I don't remember the episode well because it wasn't really that well written either.
No, and it's like that's actually one of the ones I wouldn't mind seeing redone.
Yeah.
But they're gonna have to be careful with it because the wrong network gets a hold of that, it's gonna be just trash TV
again. Yeah, and you've got to catch that magic. That's what made me mad about I Dream of Jeannie, because it was magical seeing Barbara Eden and Larry Hagman together. Yeah. They just had a dynamic about them that it's hard to recreate if the actors aren't as good as they are. They did. I love those two together, and like I know that we're in a day and age where, oh, how dare Elizabeth Olsen portray Wanda Maximoff? Shut the fuck up. Yeah, just stop it. She is doing a good job.
An amazing job with that character. Yeah. If you have a problem with that, you want to have a problem.
Exactly. With just stop it. It makes my hair hurt. Everybody is looking for something to be mad about. There's enough going on in this world. Leave it out of entertainment. Yeah. Homegirl is hardly ever stepping in it. And I'm not going to say she's unproblematic because I don't know her that well, and she's an Olsen sister, so I don't know how unproblematic she can be. But she is one of the few people that I don't hear stuff about most of the time. And every time I hear stuff about her, it's people mad that she's playing Wanda Maximoff, and it's like she's doing a role and she's doing it well. Yeah. And with her and Paul Bettany, I want more. Yeah. I really wish they would have extended that series just a little bit longer. I feel like they crammed a lot in the last two episodes.
I think they need to do a season 2 of that.
They do.
I know they probably, like, the story writers probably have an idea for it. Yeah. But they were like, well, we have to wait until we do this part of the story. But that's fine. But like, don't say you're not going to give it a season 2 when a season 2 could be done with it.
Yeah, and even if it couldn't be WandaVision, they set all the groundwork for M Day with that. Yeah. Not to give too much spoilers, if you're one of the few people who still haven't seen or heard or read about WandaVision, but M Day was a comic that they pulled a lot of Wanda's personality, her motivations, and the stuff with her and Vision that was a lot of catalyst for the MD comic into WandaVision. Now, if I was to include newer series into my shows I watch forever, WandaVision would make it. And I was shocked because that first episode almost made me go, I don't want to watch this. It was kind of drawn out. I get where they were going with trying to establish that the world wasn't what we thought it was, but 50s TV and older for me wasn't it. And we had shows that we watched because there was nothing else going on. We didn't have cable to start, so Make Room for Daddy, Leave It to Beaver. The only ones that I really liked was the Honeymooners. That was one of my favorite classic old TV shows. But a lot of those shows, even though I Love Lucy, when I watch it now, it's like if I was Lucy and Ricky would have threatened me, we would have gone. Hands. That's it. I don't like that disrespect.
If you ever see me with a bruise, it's because I crossed that line.
Crazy.
And to be fair, I skipped broke with that line. Am I gonna cross too far today? Who's to know? Oh.
Oh my goodness. And even the Honeymooners had some episodes where Ralph like literally threatened to put Alice in her place. And I'm like, yo, it could be a black house.
Like every episode.
Yeah. And like the one time James tried it in Good Times, which is one of the shows that's on my list, Florida put him in his place. Because that's how we ran in our households. It's like, I'm not saying men didn't have structural hierarchy in black households because that would be a lie. It's just a man knew. Like my grandfather knew. He only had so many times. And my grandmother was a little woman like me, less than 5 foot, and she made it clear. She goes, I might not be able to fight you one-on-one, but you got to sleep at night. My grandfather learned after that. Her level of crazy ain't worth it. And I don't know if that was everybody's dynamic, but in black households, black men treaded lightly with their wives. He might try that, I'll smack her, depending on your situation. But if they were like us, you're going to sleep with one eye open if you make that threat. So that was a lot of my problems with a lot of 50s TV and why it didn't make the cut for my 30-year span, because a lot of it was just so old fashioned and so monochrome for me. And it wasn't until Star Trek, which did make my cut, that I've seen more diversity.
I can still watch it. I watched that probably 2 months ago. I sat down, and it gets harder like into season 3 that you go because some of the stuff started to not make sense.
Yeah.
And but I blame the television company for that because I think they were just giving them crap scripts.
Yeah,
they didn't want to keep it going.
They wanted to cancel it.
Yeah.
And it was the same with the Twilight Zone, which that is my all-time favorite. I still love classic Twilight Zone. And I know people have been recommending a new one by Jordan Peele. Eventually, I'm going to get to it. I'm going to binge watch because that's the new thing to do nowadays. It's binge watch stuff.
I have to be careful with binge watching. I get headaches.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if I sit down and I just start watching season 1 through, let's say it's an 8 season, and I go all the way to season 4 in just like a couple days, I get headaches. I get like discombobulated. Nothing makes sense. It starts to affect my mind.
And Netflix, y'all need to stop. Now you hit me on my computer. I get it. I've been away for a while, but that's because you have sucked. Like 2020, I spent most of my time with my face on the screen. I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
Because I still can't undo the damage that Tiger King did to my brain. That I'm sharing.
I never watched it.
You are so lucky.
When you said don't watch it, I was like, okay.
Yeah, my opinion of humanity dropped so
that
much.
Was one of the
from
times
that.
I actually listened to when you said don't watch this.
Yeah, it was that bad. I live tweeted as I was watching it because it was late night. And I was like, okay, I'm going to tweet out because I couldn't believe. And what the heck am I watching was the biggest thing I kept yelling at the screen. Right. Why am I still watching? And then, oh my God, that chick lost her arm. And now he lost his arm because he transitioned. But I was just like, what am I watching? And people got, it was like incremental worse.
Yeah.
Who could top each other on being horrible? And I'm just like, this is why I go to classic TV. Golden Girls was on a lot of people. I think over half the people who responded picked Golden Girls. Golden
Oh,
Girls was like
I
a
saw the
big
Muppet
time.
Show on there.
Muppet Show is
That was
another good
that's
one.
Kung
Sesame
Fu. That was
Street.
a that's a
Bonanza is one of my grandfather's favorite.
yeah. My folks still watch it, and I'll sit down an episode, but there's some stuff that is just like
Yeah. This guy didn't even, he was like, I can't just name 10.
right.
So he just went through all of them. WKRP, which was another good one. Who's
Who's
the
the boss?
Boss? Soul Train, which
The movie
dance stuff.
the movie
Yeah.
said Golden Girls too, though.
Yeah, Golden Girls. I think Golden Girls was just good comedy,
Yeah.
and it touched upon a lot of stuff, but it wasn't like heavy handed. Designing Women for me was another one that did that, because a lot of people wanted to dismiss it. Oh, it's just a bunch of Southern women, Southern white women. But they tackled a lot of stuff: misogyny, racism, homophobia. And they did it in such a classy way that you didn't realize you were getting a lesson. It's one of the reasons why I like Murphy Brown.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't understand what Murphy Brown was doing at the time, but her choosing to be a single mother was a nod to women who don't get a choice in it, who still want their careers, who still want to put their careers first, but also end up becoming mothers. And they want to find that balance. And I wish the show had allowed that to go on instead of it being a controversy. You know what spits in the face of society is to act like something that isn't going on is going on. Before Greg and I became a couple, even though he was always there for me, I was a single mom. I chose to get out of a bad situation and raise my son by myself. And there is no shame in that. And there are single dads out there doing the job, not because we want appreciation or a pat on the back, but because this is our situation and we have to handle it. And for society to act like, oh, it's shameful. Oh, you're spitting in the face of traditional parents. Some of us had two parents that weren't shit. So I would rather have one parent doing what they can do to take care of a kid than to force the whole issue that it's only a nuclear family that's good. That's not going to fly anymore. And I feel like TV is starting to represent that with shows like Modern Family coming about. But there's still that underlying, you can't have a family unless it's this family. And more families are blended now than ever. There are more people stepping in the roles of parenting kids that they might not have biologically created, but they love just as much. And I really feel like I want to see more shows that reflect that. I want to see more shows that understand the dynamics of humanity. And I think we're going to get there. But I think it comes from appreciating some of the shows that, like WandaVision did it perfectly with paying an homage to like Malcolm in the Middle. I love the fact that they were just a regular family struggling but sticking together. That's why they're one of my favorite TV families. I like the classic Simpsons. I'm not so much into the newer ones now.
No,
I
the
think
newer
that show
ones.
ran its course like 10 years ago.
Yeah, the newer ones kind of went the way of like everything else right now.
Yeah.
It's okay, every week's a new week. We're not gonna like if you sit down and watch Family Guy from season one through now. Season one was very canonized. This
Yeah.
happened. They referenced stuff that happened in previous episodes. Now, and they even made a joke about it when Peter started smoking.
Yeah.
It was like, well, what do you mean that it doesn't go away? Well, face out to the outside of the house and come back in, and he still had the smoker damage that was done to him. I was like, a lot of shows have gone, okay, we're not going to do a canon story where episode one leads to episode two, leads to episode three, and so on and so forth. And I miss that in shows. I followed it really well when I was a kid. I used to love watching Transformers and Thundercats and He-Man, and
That's
they
why I love
referenced
Steven Universe.
previous episodes of stuff that happened. It was like, oh, we can't do that because this happened, or we can't do this because that happened, and now everything is just silly, illogical, like Teen Titans Go. Which don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the first few seasons of Teen Titans Go. I thought it was cute. I thought it was funny, but it's really gotten goofy, and I was like, I would rather have just a normal Teen Titans season
Yep.
to where they do serious stuff again. And I'm not saying that those kind of shows don't have their place to just, hey, I want to just sit down, relax, and watch some mindless entertainment for a little bit.
Yeah,
That's well and good and fine. But don't go all mindless entertainment, because what does that teach you people?
exactly.
Consequences have no actions. Everything's going to be fine in a couple of days. No, you need that kind of structure to show people, hey, consequences have actions have consequences.
Yeah. And I mean, I get that it's hard because the 80s kind of worked in your face with the special episodes. Like to the point where I was going to talk about it last week and I'm glad it popped in my head. One of the Different Strokes episodes that stood out to me was when Dudley got molested. And not for the reasons most people think. I couldn't trust old white men for the longest time after that episode. And we had a lot of older white people, especially when we moved to Florida, that want to talk to you, want to, be nice to you. But because of that episode, I had to undo a lot of mistrust that I had, especially for old white men, because I just kept thinking about homeboy Van Patterson of all people. And I love him as an actor, but I kept seeing him making those boys take their shirts off and stuff, and it was just like, oh, creepy. And then like,
I missed that episode.
oh, thank goodness, it was traumatizing to me. And then you had like Webster, where he caused a house fire, and The Facts of Life, where Natalie almost got raped. And then after what happened to me, I still can't watch that episode.
Yeah.
And then yeah, All in the Family. And I tell people the episode that made me cry the hardest was when Gloria lost her baby. And it wasn't just because of her losing her baby. It was the episode that helped me cry after my dad died, because I couldn't cry. I was upset because we finally started talking again, and I thought we were gonna, try to repair a relationship. And then he wasn't taking care of his health and he died from it, and I just didn't know how to handle it. So I went back to work. I just acted like nothing was wrong. And then one night, I'm sitting up middle of the night watching that episode, and it's the episode where Gloria miscarries, and she just starts crying to her dad, and it hit me that I don't have a dad anymore, and I just bawled, and I think I cried for like 3 hours straight.
Wow.
I just couldn't stop. It just like a cork uncorked.
You're a little person. You must have been dehydrated.
You're so
I don't think
crazy.
you got 3 hours worth of tears.
Yeah, I did that night. I just couldn't stop. I don't know where it all came from. And that's the power of TV. And I know Norman Lear is passed now. So we're never going to get people like that were able to push that envelope just that close. Like the Jeffersons. The Jeffersons was the first time I seen an interracial couple on TV, and the way they played it, where society hey True,
Hey,
welcome
Drew,
to the
how's it going?
chat. The way society was back then, interracial couples went through some things, y'all. So all the jokes that they made at Tom and Helen's
You can see our soul.
at their expense, all the comments they made about Jenny, all of that stuff. That was the reality, and it's still the reality for some of us. So it was amazing, just watching Black wealth as well, because a lot of people, even back then, did not believe that Black people could be wealthy or that we deserved a place in high society. So the Jeffersons, for me, was just good TV that nowadays isn't done anymore. We had the Fresh Prince of Bel Air was like the last time you seen Black wealth portrayed comedically, but in a sensible way.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you still got the you still got the sense of what they went through to get there, and
Yeah.
even though they were there, they still had that stuff to go through.
Exactly. And nowadays, TV shows gravitate towards, well, if they're black and rich, they don't care about people, which I get the attitude, because that's kind of prevalent too. You see it in all these YouTube famous types that think, I got to flex money, I don't care, it's all about me. But a lot of black families, especially those who have money, have such a different dynamic than you know. Yeah, there are some that are out for themselves. There are some that are very cautious because they know what it was like to struggle and they don't want to go back to that. There are so many dynamics to our lives that could be portrayed a lot better, but it's just not being done yet. And it's my hope that with the way Hollywood's shifting, and it's taken time and it's taken a lot of fighting to get it done, we're going to see more of that. You know, People like to rag on Tyler Perry, and trust me, I've seen the clips of some of his stuff that I have not watched because I'm not really that big into all of his stuff. I think he has a problem with writing women that he really needs to work on. Maybe get a female writer to explain to you that women aren't one note. Maybe explain to you that LGBT aren't just this or that. But that's just my own personal gripe. But what he has done for black entertainment can't just be dismissed because before him, there weren't a lot of people that had that door open for them. They had to play the same stereotypical character. I told people all the time, seeing black people on mainstream TV that weren't abject poor was not a thing when I was growing up. It wasn't until shows like The Cosby Show, which pains me because Bill Cosby was a big part of a lot of us growing up.
Oh yeah.
Fat Albert, The Cosby Show were shows that were on in my house every day. And to find out that that man, and there was always something about him that didn't really gravitate to me, but I never understood why. And now that I know why, it makes a little bit more sense. But you couldn't say anything like that because everybody around me loved Bill Cosby. He was the safe guy. He never caused any trouble.
And the bad part about it is you try not to transfer that to the show.
Yeah, but it's hard.
But it's hard not to because how do you look at was it Heathcliff?
Yeah.
Huxtable and not see Bill Cosby?
You don't.
And that's the thing is it's not the character didn't do this.
Yeah.
But the character and the show is gonna bear the brunt of what the actor did.
Exactly. It's like Fat Albert. I love the show for what it was. Like one of our favorite parts of the Boondock Saints is he looks like Mushmouth.
You look like Mushmouth from Fat Albert.
Rocco. Oh, yo, BKB. Favorite line of that movie. And it's because I watch Fat Albert religiously, just like I watch What's Happening, shows like that. Because big people weren't portrayed on TV a lot, or they were just the butt of the joke. So Fat Albert was good to me because it was a lot of life lessons along with the jokes. And I love the opening theme to that. It's on my top 10 theme list. But when I was watching the retro thing that we were going to show, but sorry, DMCA, Bill Cosby was on there, and I was like, ugh. It was like you smiled because you hear the music and you see his face. It was like cold water got dumped on me. I ain't want no more parts of it. Yeah. And that's the shame of that because the show shouldn't be ruined because he's on it. But if you've gone through what many who have gone through assault has gone through, and it's not just men and it's not just women, even non-binary people have been victims of it. It's just hard for us to see somebody who did that succeed and know how much of an influence they had.
And a lot of problems people have too is you attribute a character's persona to the actor that is pursuing them. Like the one kid, now I haven't watched any Game of Thrones. Probably not gonna. But the one kid on there that he had to quit acting because people were threatening him for stuff his character did.
Yep.
I was like, that kid needs to still be an actor. That is a great.
Hey, Ballard.
Hey, Ballard. That is a great actor that he played a role so well that he made you hate that character. That is a mark of a great actor because he should be doing other stuff, but he had to quit because people can't differentiate between I am a person and that is a character I play.
It's like when people get mad at somebody's political leanings. The guy who played American Sniper, he's a Democrat. He said, I have liberal views. So many people were so taken aback because of the way he played the character in American Sniper, thinking that he really shared those views and stuff, that you forget that these people are paid to play a role. They're not our best friends. They are human beings with their own thoughts. They are playing a character. And I don't know about other people, but I disconnect myself. There are actors that I like, but I don't think of them like they're my best buddies. I don't try to formulate relationships with them because in my mind, it's like I don't know them. They don't know me. We're never going to really talk beyond maybe every once in a while if they're at a con or something.
I just realized something.
What?
She can actually hear us right now. So, hi.
You're so crazy.
I've been waiting 3 weeks to do that.
Oh my goodness.
I
He's
played
a
the
mess.
long game.
He is a mess, y'all. But for real, I just feel like with TV, as much as growing up TV kids, especially, has influenced us, you gotta know when you're taking things way too seriously. It's okay to be a fan, but some people take those fandoms, and we say this as comic book nerds. We say this as people who like anime and manga and movies and stuff. Stop taking this so seriously. These are characters.
Yeah.
You don't need to get mad at an actor because they no longer want to play a character. Even though for me, it doesn't make sense. If you're making that money, make that money. Especially if you're good at bringing a character to life. But I get it. Some people don't want to be just known for that.
Yeah, they want to. You get that, like, you're being paid to play pretend,
Yeah.
and you don't want to get typecast into the same type of character.
Yeah.
And you gotta do what's best for you. And people need to stop taking offense to, like, when, hey, you know what, I kind of want to go play something else for a little bit. Let them go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna miss them because they did a great job at what they were doing.
Or they might end up regretting that decision. I think a homeboy from God, what's the name of that? CSI. He thought for sure, I'm gonna be in movies, I'm jumping off, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. He ended up going back to CSI. The other guy from that 70s show, he literally the whole show had to stop because he didn't want to do it no more. And they couldn't have a show. It was based on his life.
Yeah.
Eric Foreman was the central figure of the show. So when he was like, you know what, I'm gonna go be in movies, and it didn't really work out that well for him.
They tried to make, and I think everybody can agree that the show went downhill.
Yeah.
From there, like, they didn't have a plan B for this character wanting to leave.
Yeah.
I was like, unless you have a good backup plan, just end the show.
Exactly.
Let it go out on a high note, because then it's always going to be remembered for as good as it was. If you end the show after it starts to tank, they're going to remember how bad it was.
How bad it was, and then you have problematic actors on it, so that don't help either.
Game of Thrones, that last season, no one wanted to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted off the show, and they started having production errors, and there was coffee cups that they had to CG out because people just left them in there.
It was a mess.
And like I said, I've not watched it, but I've heard enough about it that I know the quality of the show went down that last season.
Oh yeah.
So
and the problem is Hollywood really needs true diversity. And I'm not saying that to just get my foot in the door. I'm saying that because there are plenty of stories out there that just aren't being amplified. There are plenty of things that could be better entertainment than what we're currently getting, but people are afraid to take those chances or at least listen.
Yeah.
And when you have something that's good, it could be completely nixed. I think of American Gods. I am a huge Neil Gaiman fan. I have loved him since Sandman Dreaming. It is one of my favorite series. And I feel like American Gods was doing well when they had Orlando Jones as Mr. Nazi. And they decided, because some old white dude who thought he was more woke than somebody black could just fire this man because he was too black, and that would be too in your face. And it's like, you cannot tell a black person how to be black. Yeah. And that's the problem with Hollywood. They get scared of our blackness, and they decide executively that it's too much. And that's unacceptable. Lovecraft Country was something that all my friends were talking about, that I was getting into, and HBO didn't want to back it anymore. But yet y'all keep trying to sneak in that what if the Confederacy were the one show. And I'm telling you, HBO, If you push that through, it's not going to work out well for you. People are tired of seeing the what if the bad guys were the one. We've lived that. That was our last 4 years. We don't want to watch that TV. Stop glorifying traitors. And enough of black pain. I want to see more shows where we're succeeding, where we're thriving. You can throw in reality to it. We still have issues that should be highlighted. But I am so sick of seeing our slave days being portrayed as the only way to tell black history. My grandfather fought Nazis, came back to no blacks allowed, no coloreds allowed, especially in the South Side. I would love to see a show that shows the American families that went through stuff like that. My Filipino families, especially during the World War II era, came into California and had to deal with the anti Asian sentiment. I don't think people understand that those stories could be told very well in both either a dramatic or even a comedic setting to make some people more comfortable and have true entertainment. I don't understand why the only way to tell our history is to only talk about the days where we were subjugated. Classic TV has shown, especially shows like The Jeffersons and Good Time, that there is entertainment value in our lives outside those days. And it doesn't always have to be the struggle, as the Fresh Prince has shown. It's going red,
Yeah,
so
just kind of watching it a little bit.
yeah, hopefully it'll pop back soon.
I think it's
It's trying to reconnect. Boy, we're gonna get ready to wrap it up soon, though. Anyway, there we go. I think it's back.
I think we're back.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I feel like we're at a point with TV where we all need to start voting with our ratings so that more better tales are put forward.
And there's a lot of negativity in TV now.
Yeah.
Like you watch a show and you get invested in the story, and it's like it does a curveball on you now, where it's like, hey, this person wants this thing, and they strive really hard to get it, but then this thing, nah, I don't even want that. That's not it. It's like, what happened to giving people hope?
Yeah.
There's no hope in TV anymore. It's like, hey, even if you try your hardest and do your best, something could come along and take it from you. And I get why they've started doing that, because they want people to be more like, hey, you got to be prepared for real life. Not in a TV show, I know. In a TV show, I want to be, and to be frank, I want to be a little bit lied to. I want to know
We
that
want the escape.
that yeah, if I do go out and I do try the hardest, that I do get that reward that I'm waiting for. That's like, because I've got reality giving me that already. I got reality sitting there. I worked the 14 years for the same company. Nothing. I got it already. I know I don't matter. I know that the company bottom line is just go in, work till you die, and then thanks for your service. I don't need that in my TV. I
Exactly.
want an uplifting story. That's why I like Legend of Zelda. That's why I like the Mario games and stuff, Pokemon, because I control the outcome of that story.
And there's always a win.
And there's always a win available. Now you guys take away hope from people, you're gonna get what we got now.
Exactly.
That's what the last 4 years did to us. The
It's
last
like
4 years took away hope from any outcome.
it's like a moral, a morale, not
Yeah.
morale erosion.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's like, what's the point? And we are already, as Gen Xers, the meh whatever generation. The whole song "Numb" is pretty much our attitude for the most part, most of the time. But even we want a little bit of hope. Like I said, growing up, we really thought there wasn't going to be a world around anyway, because there was constant threat of nuclear war with the Soviets. Everybody was fighting everybody, and the only thing that I remember, besides people being greedy and wanting to freaking live lifestyles of the rich and famous, was TV.
Yeah.
TV was the escape.
Yeah.
And even then, our only hope was that eventually a big catalyst would happen to bring us all together, and it would probably result a lot of people dying. And I don't want that to happen. But even the writers made it seem like that was going to be the only way for us humans to get ourselves together and have the world that Star Trek ended up being.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing is like some scientists are like
Calico
some.
Kid.
Is Calico Key?
Yep.
I missed it.
She's right there by the shed.
Oh, there she is.
So cute. Sorry, we love kitties.
There's a little kitty. I need to go outside and get it. I need to go outside and just pick the kitty up and bring it inside.
I think she's hunting right now.
It does look like it. She does look prowly.
Yep.
It's adorable. She ran by one day when I was playing games and stuff, and I saw it. I was like, "Oh, Calico Kitty!" And
Yeah.
it was like just fucking adorable.
Yeah. But for real, y'all, we love animals. We love TV. We love geeky stuff, and we take this stuff. You know, we take it seriously, but we don't go super serial. And that's the thing I'm gonna wrap it up on as soon as we
Yeah, we have to
show
do
off
our little Etsy or eBay or Etsy,
Etsy
shout
shout
outs.
out.
And this is a little shout out for a shop that I'm going to share in the chat.
Yeah.
Phenomenal people. If you do approach them, because I had approached them for a custom order for True, with this little guy here,
I love him. He's so
this little
cute.
Kirby. They do make these. Overall, they're not very expensive, and the quality is very nice.
Oh yeah.
Um, I did approach them with a custom order. I wanted one that was blue, and I think I've shared pictures on Twitter and stuff for the blue one that True did get. But they were very nice people. They emailed me constantly to let me know where they are on the order. So if you do go to their shop, please be respectful.
Yeah, they are really nice.
They were very, very nice and kind, and they're still working on another custom order for this one. And we will show that off when it gets done. But they are doing a lot of extra work on that. So if you do go in there with a custom order for them, just be mindful that they're probably a smaller shop and they're doing the best they can to fill everybody's order.
And it takes time. Yes.
I'm gonna put it right on top.
But yeah, one of the shows that
he's the one that can conquer the in this place he defends.
I was thinking of was South Park. When South Park first started, it was innovative. I am not going to knock the fact that it changed a lot of how TV was viewed. It changed a lot of those go think of the children types that wanted to protest TV. It was in your face, but South Park needs to stop now. South Park is it's at the point where it's just two old men trying their hardest to be offensive to everybody because they just don't care anymore. They're rich.
Yeah.
And I stopped watching it seasons ago, but my line that they crossed was the whole using token being shot as just, I don't even know what they were trying to say with that. When we are literally living in a time where black children are more than likely, depending on what they're wearing or what neighborhood they are, have to deal with that reality, to make it a joke, ain't it? And any respect that I had for Trey Stone and Matt Parker went out the window with that. And I get it. Who cares if some rando lady that you don't know is offended? I'm a black mom. And my reality is my son at 16 looks older than he is and has to deal with a lot of prejudice. And to have a show make light of that just to have a gotcha is not okay. And I'm sure that other people who were offended by something South Park did have their own line. That was it for me. That was when it stopped being, you know what? It's just South Park. Because while I can give them props for being cutting edge and redefining adult animated comedy, I no longer want to have them on in my house anymore. I don't own any of their stuff. I won't buy any of their products because for me, my reality is not a punchline. My fear growing up as a child of being killed for my skin color is hard enough. But now, as a parent living that reality, I don't need to see a mockery of that. you're not helping the situation with that. And if you're going to be harmful, I am not going to give you the ratings or the dollars that you don't deserve. And I think that's the thing I want to take away from this classic TV talk, because whether we like it or not, Gen Xers, South Park is now a part of that classic TV. Because when you look at that first pilot episode that happened almost 25 years ago, I think it was.
It's a rough episode.
It really is. It is crazy. It's like when we hear songs that we went to high school with on classic radio stations now.
Yeah.
It's a reality. But I just want people to understand that we're not here to hate on TV. And if you still like some of the shows that you watch, like I still like Alf. I might not like the father from Alf, but I still like what the show was. And Punky Brewster. I use Mr. Belvedere as the name of one of my pets in the game because it's just fun. There is plenty of old timey TV that might be problematic sometimes, like the A Team. I love the A Team,
Right.
but it doesn't mean they don't have their place in history.
Yeah. There's a lot of older shows that, especially if you're younger, that you may not have gotten to see. The original Voltron.
Yeah.
It's hard to sit through now, like when we were kids watching it growing up, but it's still a good show. Everything is still there.
Yeah. And Gem is still the music. We said it on our anime cast and we mean it. The thing that I still love about Gem is the music, because I tried to watch an episode the other night just to see, and I was like, this is crazy. It was totally 80s and everybody was hot. It had to be. But we're going to get ready to wrap this up, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, True and Ballad Club, and everybody who has been supporting us on Twitch and on YouTube.
Yep.
If you don't follow us, and normally I wasn't going to be one of those people that like follow me back or follow us if you don't follow us, but it really does help get us out there. So if you're watching this and you haven't hit the follow yet on YouTube or on Twitch, just do us a solid. It don't cost you anything, and it just helps our channels out. We're not going to press you and be in your face about it, though, y'all. If you just wanted to watch this to see what we're all about and we're not for you, oh well.
Yeah, and you can find my Twitch in the chat.
Exactly. But
next week I'll be hosting the show.
Yep, next week we will be on Axion's channel. We'll announce probably on Monday or Tuesday what the topic's going to be about, but it'll probably just be something geeky, and it might be just game related as well, because we want to start playing games.
Victims of my channel.
You're so crazy. But I'm gonna get ready to go make dinner, feed the family, and
I'm going to stop this now.
Yes, he is.
It is very uncomfortable.
Bye, y'all. Talk to you later.